You're listening to your local station, 88.6 Plenty Valley FM, and this is Snez with Wellbeing Wednesdays. Welcome back. So coming up now, I was going to chat to you about an interesting concept that really can be a game changer when it comes to habit change. And it came from, and especially when we're talking about achieving our health goals and being able to stick to something. So it all came up when I started to notice some of my son's quite impressive streak on Duolingo app. And two of my sons did start with the Duolingo app, which is the language app. And they kept saying, oh, I need to do my Duolingo because I need to keep up my streak. And one of my sons had gotten to 114 consecutive days of the language and the learning. And it got me thinking, what if we could do this and work on these streaks? Like, what is it that's working? And he was so dedicated to making sure that he didn't break the streak. So, and basically all it required him to do was the habit of getting on and learning some new words or whatever it was the next step in the Duolingo app. And it was really interesting. I was quite fascinated because he was doing so much to be able to ensure that he kept up his streak. And it wasn't until we had to go to Sydney and it just became too hard because he was playing baseball up there and he broke his streak. He was quite unhappy about that for a little while. But it got me thinking, what is it that's motivating that behavior and how can we implement that into our own lives? And so firstly, what is a streak? So a streak is basically a simple but incredibly effective method for creating lasting habits. So it's essentially a consecutive series of days in which you perform a particular action or a task. And the longer your streak, the more motivated and the more committed you become to holding up the number of days and not breaking that streak. And so let's explore how we can apply the streaks to our fitness journey and our health journey as well. And if you think about it in your own life, when you are committed to something, you try to make sure that you stick to the new habit or the new goal. And we can think about a time where, say, for example, in the New Year's resolutions, then you've said, okay, when January rolls around, I'm going to make sure that I'm drinking more water. And you're really highly motivated at the start and you do 1 day in 2 days, you might do 5 days. But then the minute that you fail to complete the task that you've set to yourself, a lot of the times we can just go, oh, I've stuffed it up and, well, what's the point now? So this streak is sort of playing against that game where we're trying to keep that going. And even though we need to have strategies when we do fall apart, like with my son Alexander, he pretty much hasn't picked up the Duolingo app, which is not helpful. But we were having a conversation about that and just starting again. It wasn't necessarily about the streak, but it was about learning the language as we go. So let's have a think about the streaks, because the most important thing is that you can apply it to anything. It's really versatile. So you can create streaks for a wide variety of different habits. So you could create a streak for exercising daily. You might say it doesn't have to be a lot. You might even say, well, I'm going to do this for 15 minutes and you stick to that daily, or it might be drinking a certain amount of water or practicing a mindfulness or even getting enough sleep. So, or getting to sleep at the same time or waking up at the same time. So the possibilities are quite endless in terms of what you want to set for yourself. And getting started is really, really simple. So the first thing that you need to do is pretty much just pick something that is quite simple. And the first step is just choosing that habit or that behavior that you want to cultivate and that you want to bring into your world. So making it specific and achievable is the real key for this becoming a successful strategy for you to employ and to be able to stick to. Because we don't want to say something like, we just want to eat better for 30 days or 60 days. I want to do a 60-day streak of eating better. Well, what does that actually mean? What are the habits? What are the behaviors? What are the foods associated with eating better? So the more specific you can become, the better it is going to be. So you may say something like getting a streak of 15 minutes of exercise every day. So that's clear, there's clarity around that, and it's specific, which can help you stay motivated and focused. And you know exactly what you need to do to be able to continue that streak. So Once you've decided what is going to be the habit and the behavior, then we're going to move on to the next streak, which is going to be the duration of the streak. Now, with the Duolingo app, obviously there's an inbuilt, I'm not really sure how it works, but I imagine there is like a leaderboard, or there's people that have achieved the most amount of days. So it's not necessarily completing the app and those tasks for a set amount of time, but it is more about getting the highest number that you can achieve. So you can do it either way. So for the duration of the streak, it could be a month, or you could even say, look, I'm going to do this for 14 days or 21 days, which is the habit changing amount of days. You might do it for 40, or you might say, look, I'm going to create a streak of this and just see how long I can go for. And the minute that you aren't able to achieve that healthy habit, or you miss a day, well, that's a really easy opportunity to go, okay, well, what I'm going to do next is just once I've, whenever that day comes that I miss it, that's okay. I'm going to start again, give myself a week break, start again, and try and beat the last amount of days that I was able to achieve in that streak. So it gives you a real sense of accomplishment when you can achieve the goal. So if you are going to start off with working on streaks, especially when it comes to habit change related to our health and fitness, maybe setting a length of time that is a little bit more achievable, say 21 days or 30 days. So it's enough to stretch us, but it's enough to see a good return on whatever change you are actually making. And then you can feel that sense of achievement, and then you can progress the goal or the duration of time. But what we want to do is make sure that we're starting with a realistic duration and build from there. So we can't say, okay, right, I'm never eating sugar again for the next 3 years. Well, that's a bit of a tough gig, and we know that life does definitely come up. So now here's an extra tip. And to make this successful, it's about accountability and about tracking. So that is the key to keeping these streaks successful. And if I imagine if Alexander had a book and he committed to reading or practicing 5 words every day, I don't think he'd be as motivated as he was when he was using the app that could track his progress and potentially unlock different levels, or unlock rewards in the app, or have a leaderboard where you compete against other people. And adding that competition element is definitely a lot more motivating. So you may want to use some form of a habit tracker. You might want to just mark it on the calendar. It is quite satisfying to see those crosses or ticks, whatever you want to use, as you're counting the amount of days that you have committed to this new habit change. So seeing your streak visually growing day by day can be incredibly motivating and can help you stay committed to that new habit and that new change. So some ideas, if you are thinking about, yes, look, this sounds like a great idea, I could definitely get into this, then having a think about what you're going to choose first. So you could aim for, if we're looking at daily physical activity, we can definitely aim for a certain number of steps, a specific workout routine. So say, for example, if you're wanting to complete 4 strengthening exercises every day and you want to do 10 repetitions, 3 rounds of them. That's very, very specific and a very easy way to be able to track and monitor that. Or it might be incorporating a short burst of activity into your day. So you might say, okay, I'm going to run for 7 minutes, or do a power walk 7 minutes twice in my working day. So you're moving throughout your day and coming out of a seated posture, which is hugely beneficial. You might create a healthy eating challenge for yourself to consume a certain number of servings of fruits or vegetables. So if you aren't a veggie person, then you might say, well, 2 meals a day, I'm going to add a handful of vegetables, whether that be cherry tomatoes or snow peas or salad, or a mix of a garden salad. Or some broccolini or cauliflower, whatever it is, you may just say 2 handfuls a day. You might also want to think about mindful eating and setting a streak for eating without distractions. such as phones or TVs, to cultivate a more mindful relationship with your food and start to pay attention to the quantities that you're consuming as well. So, or you might want to do a self care habit that you create a streak for engaging in activities that are going to promote your self care and your mental well being, such as meditation or journaling, or even for me, it's ending the day with a big mug of chamomile tea and my roller where I can just roll my tight muscles out and just feel really good at the end of the day. So, the key to maintaining your streak is consistency. But remember, life does absolutely get in the way. And if you miss a day or you break a streak, don't beat yourself up about it. Just acknowledge it, learn from it. What strategies could you have put in place? Or is it maybe that the streak habit that you've chosen is probably a little bit too advanced, a bit too hard to implement on a day-to-day basis? But learn from it and then just start again. Streaks are all about progress and not about perfection, or not necessarily, well, the game is definitely to accumulate those amount of days. But if we can't get it perfect, that's okay. It's just an opportunity to start again. So before we break, remember we're going to head off to another song, and make sure that you implement some of these things that you do here on Wellbeing Wednesdays. So if you are wanting to make a change, see if you can make it into a streak and think about, well, how many days, what am I going to choose, and how am I going to hold myself accountable, or how am I going to document the streak so it motivates me? But it all starts with small steps and making a commitment to yourself. And this is just a tool that you can use to help yourself to implement some healthy changes.